And welcome back to the Midday Show, a Friday edition. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. It's National Donut Day. We're going to talk about state-by-state vaccinations. I'm getting more and more upset at the state of Pennsylvania about this. We're also going to talk about the Texas heartbeat bill and how it's changing abortion law. And then we're going to do something we did last week at the end of the week. Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. We have a movie picked out. We're going to talk about how Rotten Tomatoes was wrong. But first, before all of that, what really matters, Mark, how are you feeling today?
I like the tone of that question. That really, there's a lot of good and bad already today. First of all, you're not here, so I get to turn not that I'm happy you're not here because I enjoy it, but I get to turn the lights on. You like to work in like this cave environment, almost like you're a bat, and I like the brightness to make me feel like alert and alive. The other good is like I had a real estate closing this morning, so I already had that. So I have this paperwork sitting next to me. I have a really big check sitting next to me. Unfortunately, it's not for me. It's for my client. So I get to go give them a really big check, and I get a little big check. But, it is what it is. So we'll take it.
All right. National Donut Day. I'm not a huge dessert person, so I'm not great about National Donut Day. However, one of my go-tos is still the glazed donut. If you said to me, like, I had to pick between cake or, like, ice cream or whatever, the glazed donut for me is kind of like, it kind of tops it all. I didn't know, like, are you a donut person?
Oh my gosh, yes. And like glazed is like the vanilla of donuts. Like you can't go wrong with it. It's always there. It's steady. I'll tell you, I like stale glazed donuts. Like give it a day.
Oh.
Like the fresh ones. I like it when it's harder a little bit, and then it's but I like. Listen, donuts are one of God's great creations. They really, when you go in Dunkin' Donuts, there's really not, you could just blindly just throw them in a box. Right. I'll eat them all. They are that good.
When I first went to school in Erie, it was the first time I had been around a Krispy Kreme. And I remember driving by, I think we were going to the mall. And the first time we drove by, the red ring on the Krispy Kreme sign was on. And we like immediately veered. And I'm like looking at everybody like, what is happening right now? And we walk inside and they start handing us like free, fresh Krispy Kreme donuts. And I remember for about a month, Krispy Kreme was like the greatest thing. It was better. It was better than electricity. It was better than like rights. Like it was Krispy Kreme donuts were amazing because they were just giving them out anytime the light was red.
I remember when I lived in Baltimore, Krispy Kreme was bigger down there, and we didn't have any here. Growing up here, where Dunkin' Donuts was, it was Mr. Donut back on the Golden Strip when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I remember when people tell me about Krispy Kreme, and they're like, "Oh, that's what they said." When the red ring comes on, then it's just like you just go. It's like a bug, a moth to the flame. It's just like woo. So, and I had no idea what they were talking about either. But I mean, Krispy Kremes are good. I get it, but like whether it's filled or powdered or all the different variety, like I love donuts.
Now, I would take it over ice cream. See, this is where I'm different.
I like ice cream too. Ice cream.
I know. See, this is where I'm different. I think I would take a glazed donut over cake, over ice cream, over a brownie. Like the glazed donut for me is like top 2, maybe top 3 dessert.
I would take donut over cake and brownie, no doubt about it. See, Ice cream to me is kind of the same. When you go in a good ice cream store that's got all those varieties, to me, butter pecan is out. Everything else is open season.
Yeah. Have you been to like the Duck Donuts where it's almost like the Subway style of donuts?
No.
Okay. You've got to go to like a Duck Donuts. We did one down in Topsail, North Carolina, and I believe it was called the Ugly Prune. But it's basically like Subway style. So they have all the toppings, and I mean like 100 toppings. And you pick, and they have like pre-made ones, so you can get like one was called like Fruity Pebbles, and it was just
I have been to a place like that.
Okay, that changes the game.
Yes,
it does. Because they're hot and fresh, and you can get it kind of the way you want it.
I think I had one with Fruit Loops on it. I don't know if I had a Fruity Pebbles, but I know exactly what you're talking about now. And it was at a resort, like a resort town. I wasn't at a resort. It was at a beach town or a lake town or something.
But
yes, I remember.
I'm shocked that the North Central PA region doesn't have a Duck Donuts or some variation of it yet. Because when you go to those places, they are packed, slammed.
Maybe we're too sophisticated here.
I don't think that's what it is.
Maybe we're a little hoity-toity highbrow, that we're just like, we're above donuts.
I'm not. I am not above them. You wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. State by state vaccinations, but more kind of like what states are doing to incentivize people to get vaccinated. We hinted at this a little bit. I believe we talked about Ohio. They gave out a scholarship lottery I thought Ohio gave out $1 million lottery. Well, both. So,
okay.
So only further going to prove my point here in a few minutes. Ohio did a scholarship lottery for people under the age of 18, I believe, to get vaccinated. They also did a $1 million lottery for people to get vaccinated for adults in the state of Ohio. You recently saw what a state below us is doing.
Well, I think New York, I don't know what New York did for adults, but I think New York did the college free tuition too. Okay. They're going to have drawings and free tuition. And then I just got this alerted that like West Virginia, and of course, this is, we're Pennsylvania. When you talk of regions, West Virginia ends up being the butt of jokes sometimes because, sure. It's like, they make jokes of Deliverance, even though Deliverance was not filmed in West Virginia, but you get the whole, and so West Virginia comes out, and one of the incentives they're giving away, I'd heard pickup trucks. I'm not sure if I can find that, but guns is one of them.
Yes.
So like, if that's what, you're kind of perpetuating your own stereotype if you're just like, hey, we'll give you vaccines if you get, guns and pickup trucks. But
yes. So West Virginia is doing like a shotgun raffle. There is another state that is also giving away beer.
Well, I think when I read that I think Anheuser-Busch has said if the country reaches 70%, then every adult is going to get a free beer.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay.
But they are incentivizing with beer.
So here's my issue. And this is, vaccination, anti-vaccination, whatever side you fall on. This conversation for me is about the way you want to incentivize people. And my frustration with the state of Pennsylvania is you look at the neighboring states around us and you look at how they have gone about this. And everything has been not necessarily to make it fun, but everything has been incentivizing. We are like the only state in the country that.
Well, you don't know that. Hold on.
I do know that. I do know that. I looked it up. We are the only state in the country. One of the only states in the country.
There we go.
What's that?
You just backpedaled a little bit. We went from being the only state to one of the only.
The very first time I said one of the only, but thank you.
I'm ruining your mojo. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
You've been talking with my girlfriend too much because you nailed I feel like I'm talking to her right now. One of the only states in the country where we aren't incentivizing. There is no raffle. There is no lottery. There is no like, if we do this, here's the bonus or here's what it is. It is just simply like, do this or you're not taking off your masks. And I still to this day, like even a month removed from that statement, from him coming out and doing it, I still don't understand why. Like, I just don't understand, because you have a choice. You can make this something that is incentivized and fun, and there's like an end of the tunnel kind of look to it, and like we're all in this together mojo. Or you can come out and basically reprimand everybody like they're kindergartners and say, if you don't do this, we're keeping the masks on. Like, if you don't do this, we're not going out for recess. That's essentially what our state decided to do. And
you think they handled it wrong?
Yes, I do.
I can't sense your tone here.
I just don't. It bothers me. I just don't. And again, I wish people. I got vaccinated. I think people should get vaccinated. It is an opinion. I just think that not everyone's going to do it, and not everybody's like. People are lazy. People can be dumb. People as a society, like, we're not always the brightest. Sometimes we need to be incentivized. Sometimes it is better to lead us to the light instead of just trying to threaten us. And I don't understand why the state of Pennsylvania decided to go down the road of threatening us. And it didn't just start with vaccination. You can remember me saying to you, like, this whole like red, green, yellow stuff like a traffic sign when they first started talking about like opening and closing. Like traffic light colors to describe, that's like you're back in first grade. Like it just, everything we've done as far as around COVID and the vaccinations has been this idea of like, we are children and we have to be treated as children. I don't understand why we couldn't be a part of the solution, why we have to be reprimanded if we don't get vaccinations.
Well, I don't even remember if we've actually talked about this on here, because the whole, we've only started this show in 2021, and a lot of our discussion about how, COVID was being handled was last year in 2020 when it was first here. But we have said, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, again, I voted for Wolf, but the PR and the way that information was distributed, as you said, sometimes it was just cold. There didn't seem, the delivery wasn't good, and in your aspect, whether it lacked personality and energy and encouragement, or whether it was insulting to our intelligence.
Yes,
the way the message came down from the top Pennsylvania has not done well with that in the last year plus.
You and I love to give bad analogies. Ready for a bad analogy?
Yes.
We're like the captains of the bad analogy team. When we started
there are few things in life that are as helpful as bad analogies.
Yes. When we started this show, we did not come on the show and say, if you do not join the group, we are kicking you off of North Central PA. Or if you do not join the group, we didn't threaten people that if they didn't watch the show. Instead, what we did was, let's incentivize them. Let's have a prize wheel. Let's share comments. Let's do different things to try to make people feel like they're involved and they're a part of the show. And I feel like because of that, it has been much more successful than if we would have came out and just said like, hey, if you don't join this show, like, you won't be a part of North Central PA, or if you don't join this show. So you have a choice, and they made the choice that instead of coming out, and here's the other part too, what a lot of these states are doing are very cheap solutions. Like
I thought you were going to say cheesy.
No, well, I mean, they could be, but they're cheap solutions. Like to get a ticket for a raffle for a shotgun is a cheap solution. Like to have if you're the state of Ohio, I think they gave out 4 scholarships.
They gave out a couple scholarships and like $5 million in lottery or whatever. But yes, grand scheme, yes.
So what these states are doing, like they're giving people opportunities. They're giving them chances. It's not like it's not like you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. You're just simply giving people a chance, and they got a ticket and now they're vaccinated and everything, and the world is better because of it. For Pennsylvania, I don't know why that was so difficult. I don't know what the roadblock was for them, because it wasn't. It couldn't have been because of finances. It's not that expensive to do. It isn't.
I agree. And like everything else in life, the intelligent people and the people who go on and achieve, greater things than where they are right now, look at all the situations they've dealt with and how they handled it and what they should have done better. And COVID for America and the world was this thing of like, how do we handle this? And as we go back and look back, I would hope that Pennsylvania sees that they mishandled, and don't get me wrong, everybody's mishandled things about this. I'm sure there's not one state out there, one governmental group or anyone who's been like, we had it right from the start. But Pennsylvania, since that's where we live and that's where we focus, Pennsylvania's handled some things very, very poorly in this. And we hope that, you just hope that down the road we learn from it. And, if something like this ever happens again.
Yeah, I just don't think there was a downside. There was no downside.
There's not a big downside. You're right.
No, there was no downside to like promoting it or incentivizing people to do it. And there was downside to threatening people. Because you know what people are? Like people are stubborn. Like people want to rebel. Like people want to go against. So I don't know. The upside seems so much higher to me in these other states where they're incentivizing it versus the downside of like threatening people if they don't do the right thing. I don't know.
The parts is you're right. No, people are stubborn. What's it saying? They're dumb, but they're not stupid. And sure. Like when we would watch the governor's announcement, back when him and Levine were doing the announcements every day, and it just there were times that Wolf would be just like, us Pennsylvanians were so tough and we're so that, and it sounded so insincere and it sounded so like scripted. It's almost like the athletes like at a retirement were like, you were the greatest fans in the world and I had the honor of playing in front of the greatest fan. Some guy that's playing in Sacramento is like, oh, you were the greatest fans in the world. And it just the lack of sincerity and just the lack of honesty. I never understood why these politicians don't come out and just say, listen, I understand that essentially half of you voted against me. I get that. And I realize that if there are Republicans watching me right now, you hate me. And I get that. But this is about health and this is about life and death. And this isn't about votes on the Supreme Court. And this isn't about how we manage money and tax refunds and public assistance programs, any of that. This is about health and life and death. And, hopefully that we can all be cross aisles and get on the same side of this. Don't get vaccinated just because you're a Democrat, and don't not get vaccinated just because you're a Republican. Let's figure this out. But I just hate when these people win. Like I hated when Biden won the election and he went at his rally and he's like, America has spoken. And I'm like, yeah, America has spoken. We're divided. Half the people voted against you, essentially. You might have won by 51%, 49% or whatever it is. Half the people hate you. And it's incredible to me that they never acknowledge that. And in the reality of the world you're living in, like Wolf did not need to speak to the Democrats. Wolf needed to speak to the Republicans because the Democrats were going to get the shots and the Republicans weren't. And how do you cross that? It's like when during the Super Bowl, when Joe Biden gave the thing with his wife and they did the public service announcement. Did you see that? It was a commercial. So I don't know if you were seeing it, but he sat there with his wife. And I was like, but half the people in the country hate Joe Biden and his wife. If you wanted to have a good message, Joe Biden should have sat there with a Republican. And they should have found a Republican to sit there and say, this isn't about my party. This isn't about his party. This is about us. And we need to do this. But they just don't get it. No,
but within our state of Pennsylvania, you're not incorrect when you say like left, right, and vaccinate. Like the idea that left and right don't make a difference in vaccinations. That would be incorrect of me to ignore that, like as if it doesn't make a difference. But I think it's deeper than that because there's people on the right that got vaccinated. There's people on the left that didn't. I just think like as a state, you had a choice to make, and you could have made this about like camaraderie and about like, hey, like we need to do this. Let's incentivize people. Let's bring them together. Let's make sure like if we can get people scholarships, great. If we can give people lottery tickets, great. If we can give people raffles to shotguns, great. Because that's what other states did. Other states looked at it as a chance to kind of like come together. Let's make a raffle out of this. Let's do a lottery. Let's make something where we're doing something together. And Pennsylvania didn't. Pennsylvania came out and said, if you don't do this, we're not removing the mask mandate. And they knew they had to. There's no way their PR is that dumb that they didn't know they were going to be ostracizing, basically shoving half of the state to the side, and they were going to be stubborn and fold their arms and be like, no, like that's garbage. Like they had a choice and they chose wrong.
Well, and even the other thing, because I understand the mindset behind it, where they're like, we need to get the businesses open. And, basically this was directed at the Republicans from the Democratic government that they said that the Republicans are the ones that are just saying open, 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 open. And so we're telling them, okay, you want to get open, get your shot. And so from a black and white, step one, step two, step three, I understand their process. But as you threw out the word camaraderie. I mean, God forbid we have any sort of camaraderie. Right. And
you're telling me that if Pennsylvania wouldn't have had some sort of raffle, some sort of anything, you're telling me that people left and right it wouldn't have been a talking point. It would have been like, oh yeah, like I got mine and you got yours.
Absolutely.
And here's the drawing's going to be next Tuesday. And again, it comes down to choices. To me, it's not even like the majority of this isn't even left, right. It comes down to the choice. I don't care if the governor was Democrat or Republican. I don't care if Republicans are against shots or Democrats are. This is about camaraderie. This was about the idea that they could threaten us or they could make it so we were a part of it. And they decided that they were going to use it as a threat. We know, most people in the state know that in order for us to open back up, we have to be vaccinated, or we have to have enough people vaccinated to truly ever do so. Most people do know that, whether you're left or right. Yes, there's going to be some hard right. Yes, there's going to be some hard left who disagree, but the majority of us know that. And they decided that instead they were going to threaten it, and they were going to make it harder for people that were far right to just kind of unfold their arms and be a part of it.
Well, my point was going to be, even at the end of this, if they do essentially strong arm the people who didn't want to get shots, but they're like, well, we have to get the shots to get the things reopened. When it's all said and done, yes, you've accomplished your goal. We got to 70%, but the people that you strong armed are even more angry at the government, are even more disrupting at the government, and the long-term effects. Yeah, you got your immediate point, but long-term they hate even more, and that's not good for society either. As you said, camaraderie would be better than, held at gunpoint.
Yeah. Thank Weis Markets.
Thank you to Weis Markets. That's where I got my shot. Thank you to Weis Markets for supply all the stuff. Obviously, it's been a grocery store. It's the grocery store ever since I was a little kid, growing up in Montoursville. It's been Weis Markets, and since then they've expanded just like all the other ones. They have your full bakery. They have the flower shop. They have the pharmacy. They have all kinds of good stuff. You can get your lottery tickets there. If you're, we're not in a state that you don't have a chance to win with a vaccine, so you got to buy your Powerball or your Mega Millions. So hit your local Weis Markets and thank them for sponsoring the Midday Show. And they are sponsoring also the Wheel. We gave away a $50 gift card yesterday. So on the Wheel we have, as you can see over my shoulder, this shoulder, we have a $25 gift card, $50 gift card, $100 gift card to Weis Markets. We also have a gift card to Eat and Run Catering, the Moon and Raven, and the Break Room. And I think I'm 3 for 4 this week already. I am so good this week, I can take this one off. This is like the last game of the NFL regular season. I can sit my starters and say,
I feel bad for the winner.
I'm so high that I might not be able to miss, because I'm literally in a world that I should be at 33%. I'm 6 for my last 9, which is just, it is, I would say LeBron James hot, but that wouldn't work today.
It would not work today. I'm really glad you brought that up. Today's random winner from the Midday Show Facebook group is Alex Zuba.
A to Z, right there. A to Z.
Alex Zuba.
All right, Alex. I don't know. I don't know if I'll try any harder than yesterday, because it doesn't matter how hard I try. Just when there's the $50 one, we'll leave it there. We'll spin. Here we go. Let's see. I got to make sure I don't knock the wheel off because I'm so tough. There we go. Less rattly. There it is again.
Oh, my goodness.
God, I am good.
Feeling it.
Moon and Raven.
Moon and Raven. Congratulations, Alex Zuba. $25 gift card to Moon and Raven. Are your hands like sweaty? Like
I am that good. I am that good. I don't know what else to say. I mean, do you remember like the month that you spun it and didn't hit anything?
Yeah, yes, thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it. What are you right now? You're what? 7 for 10?
I'm 7 out of my last 10.
7 out of 10.
That's better than your like career free throw percentage.
I feel bad for the 3 that you didn't hit on.
What was your career free throw percentage?
Not good. My career free throw percentage was like high 70s, but it wasn't for a starting guard. It should have been higher.
For a shooter, you should have been. I would have just assumed. I think you told me this before. I would have assumed you were like 85 to 90%. If you ever saw me play, I always made the argument. I was very much a momentum shooter. Like I was not like a flat-footed. Like I was very much like I was usually leaning forward. I was usually moving. So the idea then of like stopping, going to the free throw line, standing still, it never worked well for me. You didn't start. You could have started at the back of the circle and like moved forward.
I honestly, my grandfather for years begged me to shoot underhand. Have
you ever tried?
I have tried. I think it's more difficult initially, but I think if you get more reps, it would be easier to shoot underhand than it would be to shoot overhand.
I was going to say, I'll bet if you did it 5,000 times, you'd be better. You'd be better than at time 1, but you'd be a better underhand free throw shooter than overhand. I really believe I've seen the physics of it and the arc and the acceleration of the ball and things like that. I agree with you. You just need to practice.
I believe it. Texas Heartbeat Bill or Rotten Tomatoes is wrong?
Do we have time for both?
Probably close.
You tell me. Texas heartbeat. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go.
Texas heartbeat bill. There is a new abortion bill in Texas right now called the heartbeat bill. I'm going to pull it up here in a second when I'm done talking. However, basically what it's mandating is after 6 weeks, you cannot legally get an abortion in the state of Texas. The concept is that typically after 6 weeks is when you first are able to hear the heartbeat. There's a lot of different ways, obviously, to go about it. Obviously, abortion is a touchy subject. I have always said this about the abortion conversation when I've had it with people. If you are defending somebody's choice or lack of choice, I'm very willing to listen to you. So if you are defending the choice of a female, I'm all ears. If you are defending the fact that the heartbeat does not get to make a choice, I'm all ears. I have always sat on the fence on this issue. I've never really come to grips with what I feel is the correct answer. However, what this bill does, I think it's not defending a choice. I think it's taking one away. And for that reason, I'm struggling with the heartbeat bill. I'm not again, I've never really made a choice when it comes to how I feel about abortion. But this one really, like, I'm struggling with that because I feel like you're not even. It's so early, 6 weeks. You made the comment the other day. Most people do not know that they are pregnant within 6 weeks.
There's a lot, and I don't know what the actual percentage is, but there are a lot of people that have no idea they're pregnant at 6 weeks. So that's essentially what. I mean, it's almost made it illegal in Texas. And it's one of the issues where I think I understand it initially when the country was founded and the states' rights. But when you get things like this, it doesn't really, I don't know why this should be like federal or, to have state to state, that Texas can have a different, because I don't want to say it's human, but it's the rights of female, whether you want to call them health rights or choice rights or whatever the case may be.
Right.
The thing that I haven't understood, and I get that people are defending the quote unquote unborn child, and when the whole debate becomes when does it become a child and all that stuff. But like there's extreme poverty and we have a lot of issues with the people that are already living. And the people that are the people that are seeking abortions are not upper middle class people who are, the kid is going to be born into wealth. It's going to be kids that are born into young single parents that are born into either tough situations or poverty, or maybe because they have a teenage mother, they're going to create poverty or, more government assistance. So that's one aspect that society as a whole, it's, if we got rid of abortion, we would expand poverty. The other aspect is it's not like either pro-life or pro-abortion. It's right. Pro-life or pro-choice. So if you personally are anti-abortion, then don't get an abortion. And if that is your religious belief, personal belief, whatever the case may be, then don't do it. And I'm sure right now that there are 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and not just girls, but boys, even though boys don't have as much of a say, but are like, listen, if we got pregnant at 15, 16, 17, 18, I would have the kid because that's what I believe. And that's fine. Then do it that way. But because that's what you believe, I don't understand why you should be able to instill your belief or force your belief on others. And that's where I have the disagreement.
Yeah. So there was a couple of things around it. There was recently a high school graduate. I want to say it was Lakeview High School. I might be biffing the name of the high school in Texas. A valedictorian basically took her speech, tossed it out the night that after the heartbeat bill was signed in by Abbott, the governor of Texas. And she spent 3 minutes talking about how the heartbeat bill affected her, how she felt that, it changes how she views relationships. It changes how she views going out at night, because if something were to happen, her contraceptive doesn't work, she were to be raped, any one thing that could go wrong for her. And then all of a sudden now I don't want to call it a burden, but all of a sudden now she has this decision that she did not get to make. And she is pretty much stuck with it with no choice. So it's a big issue right now in Texas. The other part of it too, and I've been reading more and more about the bill because again, I want to educate myself, and I would like to eventually like figure out exactly how I feel about it. One of the things that this bill does is it makes it very difficult for people to even reach out or people even have the opportunity to talk to somebody about abortion. Basically what it does is it allows the state to sue anybody who is in contact or anybody who associates themselves as an abortion clinic, as an abortion hotline, and basically is interfering within the state of Texas. And so now the bill, to me, again, it comes back to that idea, like you had mentioned, pro-choice. It comes back to that idea of like, I'm open to the conversation if I feel like you are defending somebody's choice. This bill feels like it's not. This bill feels like it's prohibiting people from trying to make, like the idea that I can't even contact or get help through a hotline or through a clinic or even have a discussion with somebody without the opportunity of the state of Texas being able to sue them. It just feels like the bill has the wrong intent, even regardless of which side of the fence you're sitting on.
And I know, to go back, and I agree with everything you just said, to go back to the point that I made earlier about states' rights. And I'm sure there are people that immediately say, well, then move to a state that has different laws. Well, I'm in real estate. Moving's expensive, especially moving state to state. So, it's not just like even if you're just renting, if you go from renting to another, you've got to move furniture, you've got to relocate, you've got to find a place, which takes time and effort to go find it. You've got to get new jobs depending on what your job is. It might not, like if you're a nurse, you can go get a job anywhere in 20 minutes.
Right.
But depending on what your profession is and how long you've been locked in someplace and where retirement's coming up, for some people, mobility is very difficult. So the whole aspect of, well, if you don't like your state's laws, just move. That's a lot easier said than done, especially, it's easier for some people than others.
It's hard. And it's also, I don't have the exact numbers on this, but Texas is also like, it's a leading state in the sense of a lot of times when something first gets passed in Texas, there are states that follow suit and it's kind of a trickle down effect. So it might not even be as simple as just like packing up and moving your stuff, because it's just, so it's interesting. Maybe you and I can talk about this because it's not done. Like it's not over.
Oh no.
And maybe you and I down the road can talk about it even more so. But I saw the speech by the girl at the high school in Texas, and it was moving, and it was here's the thing too. A lot of times, like you and I are both long-winded. This girl got up there and she nailed her points in like 2 minutes, and she was on the stage, she was off the stage. And so it was very poignant, and it kind of made me realize like I wanted to dig into what was actually in the heartbeat bill. And the more I read into it, the more you begin to realize it's not just the effect of 6 weeks and whether or not people know they're pregnant yet and pro-choice. It's really like the outer lying things and giving Texas the ability to kind of like really overthrow the whole abortion, I don't want to call it a society, but the whole conversation around it and getting rid of hotlines and being able to sue clinics. And it's really deeper than just the 6 weeks.
I'm no longer long-winded.
That's good. You don't think we're long-winded?
I'm going to be brief.
You're crazy if you don't think
ready.
we're long-winded.
Next topic, brief. Go.
Unbelievable. Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. Swordfish. Before you talk about Swordfish, would you like to hear all the things I know about Swordfish?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready?
The creature or the movie?
No, the movie.
Okay.
The movie. All right. Here's what I know about Swordfish. Halle Berry is pretty.
Yes.
Okay. Travolta is weird.
Okay.
Okay. Hugh Jackman plays golf without his shirt on.
Okay.
Okay. And it was computers before people knew computers.
It's pretty good.
Thank you. That's what I know about Swordfish.
I saw Swordfish. The history of it, like obviously Halle Berry is beautiful, and this is the first movie that Halle Berry showed any nudity. She was topless in this. And before the movie came out, there was a scuttlebutt that they had filmed it, and they went back and to get publicity for it, they added a scene of her topless and paid her an extra $500,000 on top of whatever she's making.
I'm sorry. This is fact or this is rumor?
This was rumor before the movie came out. So before it even hit the big screen.
Okay.
And then when you watch the movie, and you should, I own it. I'll give it to you. Even though every movie I loan you, you never watch.
I've seen clips. I've never seen the whole thing.
When you watch it, she's sunbathing topless, and you could see like, oh, they absolutely just jammed that in. That didn't mean so. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. At Rotten Tomatoes, the fans gave it like 59%. So the fans were above average. The critics gave it 25%, which is bad. But when I honestly, I thought it was intriguing. Travolta's weird, but Travolta's talented.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman's great. Hugh Jackman plays the hacker. Don Cheadle's the cop that's chasing everyone. Like, this is not a junky cast.
No,
and I thought it was very clever. I think for some people it was a little too complicated, and they tried to be sophisticated. And then there was a lot of good shoot 'em up scenes, which I thought were cool. But I really think that the Halle Berry topless gimmick hurt the movie in the long run.
With critics, you mean?
What?
With critics, you mean?
With critics. I think they thought, like, because this was the rumor, and they're like, oh, they were afraid they weren't going to sell any tickets. Nobody's going to like this. So they had Halle take her top off, and that was the only reason they did it, was to sell tickets. Because then later on, she won an Academy Award for Monsters Ball, and she was really naked in Monsters Ball. So I wonder if either the gimmick or the rumor of the gimmick backfired when it had critics, because I've seen it more than once. I think it's entertaining. Is it the greatest movie ever? No, but I think it's clever and I think it's entertaining.
No, it's a good point. I always said with Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, like that series, obviously they're not like award winners, but I always thought Gabrielle Union, because she kind of like steals different scenes, stuff like that, the critics always gave it a lower score than what it actually, I always thought it was better. So I agree with your sentiment about Halle Berry. This is my fear with Swordfish, especially like having not seen the whole movie. I told you my story about Top Gun. I've told the Top Gun story on here. Yeah. My fear is like, there's just a point where movies, if you wait too long to see them, they lose what the movie actually was. And so for Top Gun, not that Top Gun was like a serious drama, but it was not a comedy when it came out. And I swear to God, it's a comedy now. I'm worried that Swordfish is supposed to be kind of like this. I don't want to call it witty, but it's supposed to be like this, like a thinker, right? Like you're following along and you're trying to figure it out. And my fear now is then, like you said, it was complicated. And my fear is if you watch it now, it's going to not feel that way. It's because people have just adapted and movies have adjusted and everyone knows what a computer is and everybody. So I feel like I'm going to lose that watching it so many years later.
And I get what you're saying. I don't think so.
Okay.
But because there's governmental conspiracy in it. I thought it was clever. I just thought it was more clever than like your typical, I don't know. There's the parts of like Jason Bourne where just like the bad guys are chasing him and he's trying to stay alive.
Sure.
And it's 2 hours of they show up at a house and they think they're safe. And then all of a sudden it's surrounded by, and they're like, how did they find us? And then they have to fight their way out and they have to get in a car and they drive away. And like, I thought there was some stuff in this that like, I never thought of that. Maybe the government is, maybe I don't know. How do the hackers do this? That makes sense. That sounds believable to me. So,
but see, my fear now is like, I think people know how they do it, and now it's not going to feel.
I think you'll like it more than you're afraid. Okay. You'll like it. Okay. And really, when you watch the Halle Berry scene, be like, was that really her, or was that not? Because and the other aspects too, there were other scenes that you're like, well, she was going to be taught. Why didn't they just do it now? Because this kind of.
So you feel like they just slammed it in?
I think they did. I think they filmed a 3-minute scene laying in the sun, and they were like, we'll just put it in here.
No, well, one of the clips I've seen is when Hugh Jackman's golfing shirtless, and that like, why is Hugh Jackman golfing shirtless?
Well, I mean, you see why, you'll know why he was golfing when he did it. but
Sure.
like he was golfing shirtless because he was Hugh Jackman and the ladies liked it.
Correct. Right.
Like, for example, if like Ryan Gosling was golfing shirtless, you would love
it. Yeah. Is that a problem?
No, it is not.
It is not a problem.
It is not. So I like Swordfish. And fortunately for me, the audience did too a lot better, more than 50%. It's not, 90%, but the audience gave it like 59%. So the audience was on my side. The critics were not. So if you're bored sometime, check it out. I think it is on Netflix right now.
Okay.
But again, I have it. I'll loan it to you. You can put it in your pile of stuff that I've loaned to you that you've never watched.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Do you have a movie, before we go to the comments, do you have a movie that like you went back and watched and you're like, oh, this isn't as good now, like 20, 25 years later? Like, do you have one of those that like you were really disappointed by?
Yeah, I've done it with my kids. And I will tell you, I don't mean to give you any more credit.
No,
I don't like to go out of my way to give you credit.
Go ahead.
When I made my kids sit down and watch Top Gun, they were like, Dad, this isn't that good. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not that good? Goose and Upside Down with the MiG and their day. Like, what?
It's not good.
And my kids are very much more on your side of the Top Gun argument than they are on mine.
If you're not watching it as a comedy, it's not a great movie.
It's funny you asked me that off the top of my head. There have been others that I was like, this is great. And the kids are like, no, it's not.
What I've recently noticed is there's a lot of movies in like the 90s and early 2000s that I'll go back and watch, and I can't get my mind into the headspace that they don't have cell phones. So like they'll be going to do something or whatever, and I'll just be like, call her, or I'll just be like, why don't they just, and like, I just can't. And I'm not saying it's ruining the movies for me. Like, it's my own fault. It's not the movie's fault, but like, I'll be watching it and I'm just like, well, this never could happen. Like today, this could never happen because you would have just picked up the phone, or you just would have. So I don't know. Like, the world is changing so fast. It is getting harder for me to like watch some of these like late 80s, 90s, 2000s movies and not have those moments of like, oh, like that wasn't that great, or like I feel like that never would happen today.
Please tell me you've seen Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard like the director or the producers, the makers of Ghost, when they watch it again, that the computers are so old and they're like those big, and they're typing and the screen is green and the text is yellow. Yeah. And they're like, it just, to them, it's nails on a blackboard because the computers dated it so much.
Okay.
But the movie itself is about the emotion and the connection, and Oda Mae Brown just steals the show. But Demi Moore and everything else about the movie is timeless except the computers. And they say it killed. They wish they could just go in and take them out.
See, that's an interesting point, because I've made this argument about Jurassic Park before, the original, and I've made the argument that Samuel L. Jackson on the computers it doesn't save the movie's relevance, but it does make it more relatable now today. Like, if you didn't have those scenes where like they're shutting the park down and Samuel L. Jackson's on the computer and she's coding, and like, it does make the movie more relevant now if a kid were to watch Jurassic Park for the first time.
I get it.
So it's weird because I don't think either opinion's wrong. It's just funny how like for Ghost, it's seen as a negative, but for Jurassic Park, I always viewed it as like a positive. Like, it made it seem more relevant today.
No, I get it. And the thing about Ghost is it wasn't like the computers were needed for a little bit because money was being changed, but the movie was not about technology or science. It was about emotion and love and loss. And that is interesting. Those are interesting. How technology ages through movies is fascinating.
Yeah, we should do that one day. Comments. Are you ready for them?
Do they hate us?
Us is a strong word.
That was funny. That
Stephanie
was
Kitchen
fun.
said this speech was amazing. I believe she's referring to the speech done by the high school student in Texas. It was pretty good, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on. Like, she was very good.
Let me just jump in and say, Stephanie, apparently it wasn't amazing. Jeff says it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
There's a difference on the scale between amazing and pretty good is far, but I get what you're saying.
I'm just trying not to be like hyperbolic. Like, that's, you know.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All.
I just thought it was funny. I saw the joke opportunity. I took it.
Yeah. Whatever. It was good. Let's see what else we have. Stephanie Kitchen, one more time. It's a health issue. It was never political. People made it political. Shaking my head. I'm independent, and the information didn't need to be geared to one side or another. In a perfect world, I agree with Stephanie. You would like to think you live in a world where it doesn't have to be geared to one side or another. I just think, unfortunately, the world we live in, I think the choice of either incentivizing us or threatening us, I think you needed to incentivize us to try to bring us together. That's, I don't think she's wrong in an ideal world. I don't think that's the world we're in.
Oh, she's absolutely right in an ideal world, but it's whether you're talking, I assume she's still talking about abortion. She may be talking about the shot, whatever it is. They're all politicized.
Pat says the northern states have done really well with vaccinations. It's Alabama, Tennessee, and Louisiana that are victims of Fox News. I have not looked at the southern states, like their vaccination rates. Like, when I was doing my research, I only looked to see what states were doing to like incentivize and like help people get vaccinated. I didn't actually look at the numbers. So I'll be honest, it wouldn't shock me that the southern states are having a harder time being vaccinated. But I think there's got to be other things involved with that, whether it's socioeconomic. We talked about early on here in Pennsylvania. I remember we talked a little bit about like how much harder it was to get vaccinated in the northern tier compared to like Harrisburg or Allentown.
Right. We do forget that at the beginning. It was just hard to get vaccinated. It was really hard.
Yes. I do you remember when I got vaccinated, how like I felt fortunate that I like was able to get it when I got it. Right. It wasn't just like this thing like we would be able to get. Christopher, who we both know, let's not forget the Crosscutters free hot dog and soda incentive. So, we could have done free hot dog and soda.
I'm not taking a shot at the Crosscutters. Shouldn't it be free donut day at the Crosscutters? I mean, it is National Donut Day.
I don't disagree with that.
Hey, Robert, when you at the ballpark, you get free hot dog and soda. That's tough to beat. Is it going to be dry? Is it done? I think it's done raining today. I think we're good.
Robert, why do adults need to be rewarded for doing something proper? Not all people agree. Well, they go against their beliefs. The first part of that, I don't think it's about being rewarded, because remember, most of these people aren't going to win anything. I'm
not sure when you say proper, like if people are really anti-vax for whatever reason, like it's hard for us to say. I know it depends whether you believe in science or not, but it's hard to look at someone that's anti-vax and say you're wrong. Like you're living your life wrong. I think that's so. Proper is a tough word there, but
I think rewarded is a tough word there too, because like you're just getting the chance. Like not everybody in Ohio got a scholarship. Like not everybody in West Virginia is getting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, it's an incentivizing, not a definite reward. It's not an immediate switch. No, I get it.
John Bradley. Hi, Jeff. Hi, John. I owe him one of those. He says hi, Jeff, all the time. I never actually put it up on the screen, so I owe.
You know why? Because you're rude.
You think I'm rude? Do you think I'm rude?
I expected some insulting comment, like comeback. I didn't expect you to be like, "Do you really think I am?" Like I know where to go with that.
Duck Donuts, maple bacon, fractured prune. I think that might have been the one that I was at in Topsail, North Carolina. What did I say? I think I said the ugly prune.
The ugly prune. Yeah, fractured prune. All right.
That might have been the one. Janet Duffield made a comment about basically like being able to let people make their own decision. So for example, if you're religious, trust in God as far as getting the vaccination and things like that, trusting your immune system, trusting in God. I think that also brings up a good point. And I don't think we should dive into it today, but real quick, maybe like one or two sentences. It is interesting. Like the incentivization doesn't necessarily force people to get it, right? Like just
Correct.
because we'll say we'll give you a raffle ticket or a chance or an opportunity to do X, nobody's saying like you have to do this or you have to get it, which I think is another reason why I like the incentivization so much.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay. All right. Mark's with me. That's it. I think that's what we're gonna go with.
All the other comments are profanity laced. Is that it?
Do you think this this is great? Who do you think this comment is for?
I think it's for you, to be honest.
I think it's for you.
Well, I've heard both rumors.
Okay,
and,
let's keep them that way.
Yeah, I've heard both rumors, so I don't know which one you is, but I've heard them both, and whatever.
Yeah, no, let's keep it that way. We're getting called out by North Central PA. Oh my God, awkward. There's so many different parts of this show that could have been.
Who sent that?
I don't know. There's so many parts of this show that could have been awkward that I don't know what it's referring. I can't double back and say what it was referring to. I'm not 100% sure. That's what. Congratulations. Congratulations on your rumor. I'm happy for you.
I don't know if it's you.
I don't
know if it's me, because I've heard the rumor a lot. And what's neat about the rumor is that a lot of times you don't have a name. It's that coach from Loyal Sock.
That's weird, because the rumor that I hear is that guy doesn't have a name. It's just his brother from Montoursville.
Well, I've spent my whole life not having a name.
That's funny that neither of us have names. That works out well.
I have. Where was I just at the other day? And someone came up to me and said, Mr. Messina. And you could just see it in his face. I'm like, I'm his brother. They're like, oh. And then they have to pretend that they're like happy to see me too, because this guy's like, doing the swim move through the crowd. And he was the speaker. And he's like, oh, Mr. Messina, it's very nice to meet you. And I was like, oh yeah, Mike. No, I'm Mike's brother. I'm Mark.
Right.
and you see the disappointment. It's always fun. That always happens. But yes, so you're the coach from Loyal Sock, and I'm the coach's brother. So there we go.
There you go.
We're in the same.
And you wonder why.
What?
And you wonder why I had to put our names above our heads.
You did. We're both sitting in the back seat. It's just like whatever. Like I don't know. Right. That was fun. That was my favorite part of the show today, and I'm glad no one's still watching. Because
they're watching. People listen now that we've they know the comments are coming now. So and plus we've been talking about it more. We've been sharing them more. So it's been good. I like doing the comments at the end.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, it is. Unfortunately, like I said, the ones that are so profanity laced, you have to breeze through those, and you can't put those on the air. Like you bleepity bleeps, and whatever. But
none. Eventually, Ken Madison's going to comment during the show, and I cannot wait to talk to Ken. I'm really excited to talk. And can we talk about it real quick? For those of you,
no one's watching anymore anyway.
People are watching. Listen, real quick. This won't take long. There's a gentleman by the name of Ken Matson. It's Madison or Matson. I'm not sure which it is. And he comments on the show occasionally about how much he hates us. And I would just like to give Ken a shout out, because I was just saying to Mark like 2 weeks ago how it's been relatively positive. We can't believe how receptive people have been to the show. And every once in a while, Ken just brings me back down to earth, and by the way, we welcome criticism. We're okay with it. So I just sent Ken a message on the show the other day, just saying I see you're a sailor. Thank you for your service. And he gave me a thumbs up back. So I feel like the relationship with Ken is building. I would like it to continue. So if you're out there, Ken, and if you see this by chance, please comment. I'd almost maybe like a Guillermo type. Maybe
what?
Guillermo on.
Is that like a DiGiorno?
No, Guillermo on the late show.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. Like Conan has his guy off to the side. Who's Conan's guy off to the side?
Oh, you mean
Jimmy Kimmel has his guy off to the side, Guillermo?
Ah, okay. I know who
I'm thinking Ken would be like a phenomenal guest host. Like somebody we just kind of have behind the scenes, and we just bring them in from time to time.
I just don't understand why someone would watch day after day if they hate it.
I'm thrilled. No, I disagree. Hate watching is a thing.
Well, you know what's funny? Did you ever see the Howard
You know why
Stern
I
movie?
watch LeBron James? Do you think I watch LeBron James because like I love him?
Sports are different, but I get it. Did you ever see the Howard Stern movie, Private Parts?
Yes.
Okay. There was a thing when they were talking about like one of the radio stations, like why we should hire this guy. And they talked about the on average, his listeners, his fans watch him for or listen, they said for like an hour and 10 minutes. And he's like, why do his fans listen? Because they can't wait to hear what he says next. And the guy says, and here's the next part. The people who hate him listen for an hour and a half. Yeah. And you know why they keep listening? Because they can't wait to hear what he says next. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. There were people. Howard Stern had this audience, and it wasn't all people that loved him. It was people that hated him too, but they grew the audience.
Do you know what time the Lakers game ended last night?
Yeah, about 4 minutes after it started.
That's pretty fantastic. The game itself, the clock ended at, I'm going to say it was like 1:45. The game actually ended at 1:45. Do you know what I was doing at 1:45?
It started at 10.
It started at 10:30.
It did not take 3 hours.
1:45.
Okay, so anyway, what you were watching the Laker game?
I was watching. Do you know what I was watching the Laker game? I was not watching the Laker game because I cared that the Phoenix Suns were going to win. I watched the Laker game because I wanted to see the Lakers lose. People watch stuff way more because they are rooting against something.
I was with a group. I was with a group last night when the Laker game started, and there were some young guy like in their 20s, and they were talking about making short-term investments. And I said I've only watched the Phoenix Suns play once this year. It was Game 5 against the Lakers. I don't know what the line is. I don't know what the odds are. I hope you did not put a dime on the Lakers tonight because they have no chance. And they were like, well, I was like, I don't care that they're home. I don't care the bounce back game. First of all, I said, Davis cannot be healthy. And the guy's like, he's going to play. I was like, he can't be healthy. They can put him on they can put his uniform on and let him walk out in the court. He can't log 35 minutes in an NBA game again. And I said, like, the Lakers can't shoot. If LeBron's not shooting, who's going to score? They're going to get killed. And there was a point where it was like 36-14, and they're just laughing. And they're like, yep, he said it. He said it. He said it. And what was the final? How bad did they lose?
They cut it down. It was still a double-digit loss. The crazy part now is you had asked me about a week ago who were like the two underdogs. And I said the Phoenix Suns in the West. I said the Atlanta Hawks in the East. The Phoenix Suns, Anthony Davis gets hurt. They beat the Lakers. They now have a very clear road to the finals if they want it. The Atlanta Hawks now get to play. They just beat the Knicks. They now get to play the 76ers. Embiid has a meniscus injury. They're calling it day-to-day. I have never heard of a knee injury like ACL, MCL, meniscus, nothing where like it was day-to-day. So the Atlanta Hawks and the Phoenix Suns have a legitimate chance now to make it to the NBA Finals.
It's so crazy what doctors say, and I really know no one's listening now, but I remember when my brother was pitching and he took a line drive off his forehead, and if you don't want to watch something gory, it was not fun. And but I was the only family member there. So I'm the one that's sitting in the hospital with him while the plastic surgeon's in and they're in. And I said it happened on a Thursday night. I remember that. And his next scheduled start was Tuesday against the Yankees. And the Yankees were coming to town Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I said to the doctors, are there any, he had a broken nose slightly and it was all swollen and it was going to be hit right above the eye. And I said to the doctors, but at this point we knew his vision was fine. He got very lucky health-wise. I said to the doctors, is there any way he can pitch Tuesday? And the doctor said no. And I said, well, the series is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a big series against the Yankees. Is there any way he can pitch Thursday? And the doctor said he'll be lucky if he can pitch in 3 weeks. And that's immediately, without anything else, that's what the doctor said to me in the hospital. And ironically, he came back 3 weeks and 1 day later. So that's what the doctor said, because doctors have a clue. Right. The team kept saying, day to day. I don't know. Maybe next series, maybe next series, maybe next series. And I was like, when I asked the doctor, he didn't say maybe. He said he'll be lucky if he can pitch in 3 weeks, and he pitched in 3 weeks in a day. So what the team announces, and to keep hopes of fans and to keep ratings and to keep is so much different than what the medical people will tell you. So like, there's no good doctor out there that would have said, "Oh, Anthony Davis, yeah, he'll be fine in 48 hours."
They threw him out there.
They tried.
I'll tell you, Barkley went after the team about it. Barkley was like, "There's no way he should have tried to play."
What did he play? 3 minutes before he was down?
4, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Meniscus. It's in your knee. You can't just Advil that away. No. And we're not talking about, he's not trying to play golf. He's not trying to, like, he's got to run up and down the court with the greatest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
He's not weird. Like, it's different when you're playing with a fever or he just vomited before the game. You know, some of those they can get through it. And we've seen guys get through, you know, he has a headache. His knee won't work right. You can't run up and down NBA court with the greatest athletes in the world if your knee doesn't work.
I agree. I concur.
So the Hawks and the Phoenix Suns in the finals.
Put your money on it.
All right, next week we'll talk about hockey playoffs and why I'm rooting for Canada again.
We can do that. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for watching the Midday Show at NorthcentralPa.com.
There's no one still watching. You don't have to close it out.
There is. There's people watching.
There are.
NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news. Thank you to Weis Markets for being our title sponsor. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. And Mark hopes that you enjoy your weekend since you haven't started it yet because you're still watching us.
I do hope that you enjoy your weekend. And I know people watch at night and people watch through the weekends. And I do. I think the weather's supposed to be really good this weekend. So I do hope you enjoy it. And I've enjoyed it.
All right. I'm that coach
and I promise I'll never be long-winded again.
As you interrupted, I'm that coach from Whalesock. He's that guy's brother, and we hope you enjoyed the Midday Show.